Okay, now this PCem emulator is actually a lot more capable even than I thought, because I discovered that it actually emulates a BX4400 slot 1 Pentium II motherboard. Interesting. Wow, gigabyte slot 1 Pentium II 350 megahertz. Oh, I resetted it, and it has to do a scan first, but yeah, it does seem to run at 100% on my system. So I actually loaded up the same 3DMark things as I did in the previous video. And it would be cool to see if performance actually is better, because, well, Pentium 2 is supposed to be better than, you know, regular Pentium MMX. So yeah, it's the famous B4040 440 chipset. I used to have a similar motherboard with a Pentium III 650, I believe, and it came on one of those slot 1 cards. It had an adapter, so 350 is about as high as I can go on my system. This is a Ryzen 7 3700X. It is possible to select a higher frequency CPU, but then the emulator will jump down to, well, let's say par, what is it, below 100%, so you really don't want to have that happening. So yeah, I'm capturing this with my NVIDIA card directly, if things are going as planned. And yeah, let's do DirectX DAG. So it has DirectX 8.1, and it shows a Pentium II MMX 350 megahertz. Oh, you can test 3D. Let's see if that actually works. Oh, that works actually quite well. It's going to do a couple of these spinning cubes, DirectX interfaces. Yeah, so that works. Let's, oh, I don't want to restart. Let's check out the 3DMark stuff. So Mad Onion, 3DMark, let's run the 3DMark 99. It's going to be boring probably for quite a few of you, but I find this mighty interesting to be able to run something that is actually very similar to my old. I got a retro PC a while ago with a Voodoo3 graphics card, I believe 256 megabytes of RAM, and a Pentium III 350 or something like that. So very similar to this, actually. Let's do the demo mode. I'm very curious how the demo mode runs at 800 by 600, if it actually is running faster. Now sometimes the emulator running this variant of the hardware actually dips below 100 a bit more on certain operations during boot up, but it seems to be running quite stable at 100, more stable at 100. I say, and then it goes up to 102 and then 99. So yeah, I remember this demo running on one of the PCs on display in one of the computer shops that I used to frequent back in Leiden back in the day. These demos, these PC demos always were quite amazing. So it does dip down below to 84, I see. And then again to 100. So I guess this is rather new, this platform being, you know, slot 1 motherboards being emulated, and the Pentium II. This is not virtualization, so this actually is just running the code, an emulating code, and not necessarily use, not necessarily, it doesn't use any virtualization, hardware virtualization, or at all. So it just runs in the native user space, just user space, not in one of these virtualization rings. So yeah, you can actually see it stutter a bit more. It does seem to run smoother though, the Pentium II, even at 80%. But yeah, this is not really playable, so I think I have to dial down the speed of the emulator. Demo aborted. So my system is not capable of doing that shutdown. So, Pentium II, let's see what CPU I can, well, Pentium II 233, dynamic recompiler, OK. So it's not really that drastic, you know, changing the CPU. And I believe the Pentium II actually was quite a bit faster than just a regular Pentium, but let's see. It probably is a better comparison. It might be that it still dips down below where the regular Pentium would not. But I have something else up my sleeve. I can actually, on the Super Socket 7 motherboard, I can actually select an AMD CPU. Now, booting this in real time. It's actually quite a fair bit slower booting up. Let's see if the demo gives similar issues running it at a lower frequency. Demo mode, use selected resolution, just the default resolution that it's at. Let's see. So it's running substantially at a lower, substantially lower frequency. So this should be able to function well. But it might be that the other chipset is just harder to emulate. Not sure. No, it would dip. Okay, so it's actually not dipping now, which is good. So I guess it was just overloading my processor you know, the instructions per cycle just couldn't cope with it. This emulator is a beast of an emulator, you know. It really needs a lot of horsepower in order to run. But a Pentium II system really is quite something to emulate. This is all done in software. They do use dynamic recompilation. This actually runs pretty well. If they manage to, oh, this actually, it started a bit, but if they manage to implement, oh, it dips again. I was secretly hoping I'd be able to bump it up to 266 or something, but it's doing better than at the higher emulation speed, and this actually runs a fair bit better than the Pentium I 233 MMX. It's actually running pretty smooth, though I'm not sure about the textures here though. Yeah, back then you wouldn't notice, but there's actually just actually an image, a couple of images stacked onto a cube. Ah, this looks nice. I do believe that this actually runs a fair bit smoother. So some stutters here and there. Yeah, for me this is a big thing. If it stutters like this, I just won't be able to enjoy it that much. Well, if it only happens every once in a while, then it's okay, but okay, I'm not gonna do the title. Yeah, let's see how version 2000 runs. Disk operations really seem to slow down the system, the emulated system, so run the demo. Oh, this was the one with the harbor village, right? Let's see if yeah, it does run smoother, I think. And I remember that the Voodoo actually could keep up with the Pentium III. Pentium 3, Pentium II, Pentium 3, 650 quite well. Although the Voodoo3 had its limitations, it was actually very compatible with MS-DOS games. I believe it did support the Univita. It was very compatible with DOS games. And this actually runs smoother as well. Now, of course, Windows does have quite a fair bit of overhead, so it might actually be that if I install MS-DOS on it or run MS-DOS games on it, that this actually would be really okay. I remember watching this demo as well. Always curious when a new version would come out and whether or not your hardware would be able to manage. And actually, not being able to manage to run this at a decent frame rate would sometimes be, well, a cause for some hardware upgrading needs to appear. PC gaming at its worst. This, well, and it's at its best, but I mean, during this era, bumps in speed were so incredible. I mean, they just were, you know, you would have to flip your PC all the time. I would be flipping my PCs. I always would have two systems going, one system building, so I could keep up with the latest hardware, because you really want it to be up to specs. Games would always come out really needing the latest hardware in order to be able to fully enjoy those games. And oh, this actually runs pretty well. It was much more stuttering in the Pentium II MMX, or Pentium II-233 MMX. This, of course, is using a lot of memory, but yeah, it does run it faster. So I guess this shows that even the emulated Pentium II, running at the same clock speed as a Pentium I, is actually quite fast, quite a substantial bit faster. The memory bandwidth is actually quite a bit faster. I believe that the original Pentium memory bandwidth was like similar to PCI or something, like 33 megahertz or something, or 66 megahertz. And if I remember correctly, on Pentium 2 and 3, that would actually be higher clocked. System and info. Yeah, it doesn't really say anything much about the I wonder if there's a CPU Z or something that runs on Windows 98. Not sure. Oh, and let's run that later demo 2001 SE. Oh, if I stumble on my words, that's because I'm a non-native speaker and I didn't sleep at all last night. So yeah, that's why. Let's see. Just run the demo at the default resolution. They don't recommend doing so. Oh, I need to move that up a bit. So this is actually doing DirectX 8.1. Now the Voodoo does have too low a memory, texture memory for all parts of this demo to work, I believe. Show any specs on screen, I believe, but it's not really that different. to the demo groups. I don't necessarily recognize the names that are on here in the programming list, but surely they must have originated somewhere on the Commodore 64. This is I remember looking at this for the first time and imagining this running smoothly. Actually it does on NVIDIA cards, but sadly these aren't emulated on this PCem, because if they would, that would totally be a game changer. Insert disk 2 or something like that. Now this demo really came out when the Matrix was just out, and there's references of course to the Matrix in both the previous demo and this one. And this actually is the famous bullet scene. That was just awesome. But on the other hardware configuration, it didn't want to show the textures, so it might actually still not show. Yeah, so it doesn't show the textures. It does show the shading on the polygons, but it runs faster. But this really was an incredible scene with bullet time and stuff, but yeah, that just doesn't want to work. There's another demo in here, the game demo. Let's see if how that runs at 800 by, what is it, 800 by 600 or 1024 by 768. So the Voodoo3 was really showing its age in the Pentium II, 3 era. It just had too little texture cache, texture memory like it shows here. So DirectX 8 really is above what the Voodoo3 is capable of. And so DirectX 7 games are actually best. Yeah, pretty stoked by how this runs actually. Let me see if I can. Let me see if DOS games. This actually is a DVD image. I'm not sure if it actually will run. Oh, yeah, it'll read it. So these are MS-DOS games that I put on an image without any configuration. Doom. I'll probably have to copy it over. I could copy it over. Oh, I'm used to the folder snapping into position. We got used to. How do you say it? We got spoiled pretty quickly, actually. I wonder if BOS, I mean, would actually run on this. Might. Games. Games. MS-DOS. Bubble. Blakestone. Blakestone. CD-Man, Chaos Engine, the Champ games, Commander Keen, Dark Forces. I'm used to such fast computers. I really am stressing it. copying two things at the same time. This would not be liked by an optical drive. It would just like jump all over the place. And as you can see, it just increases the copy time dramatically. So in most of these systems, these Pentium II, Pentium III systems, I would have two hard drives. Often the boot drive, like a 1 GB drive or a 2 GB drive, and then a bigger drive, say 3 to 4, containing games. Dreamweb, Formula 1, these are all DOS games. Hexen, Heretic, Need for Speed, Rayman, Quake, Second Reality, I'm not sure what that's, SimCity, Supercards, Wipeout, Tubular Worlds, Zool, perhaps even some Sparkade, NASCAR Racing, Lotus 3, Lamborghini, Outrun, Pac-Mania, whatever, PCman. Not sure what Quarantine was, but forgot. Sideline, of course. Stunts. Tetris. Let's copy these over. Doesn't impact performance that much, does it? So perhaps while it is copies, I can actually run Doom. Let's see. Yep. This really feels like my old system, perhaps a bit more laggy. This even emulates the ultrasound, so actually PCem may actually turn out to be quite a decent high-end MS-DOS gaming platform, which actually might be even superior to DOSBox, although that is mean and lean. Oh, I remember the strafing with the Alt key. That is just insane. I never, you know, I've been playing this on DOSBox, but this feels like the old system that I was running it on, and my finger found the Alt key, which is strafing. Bloody hell. Muscle memory, that is just insane. So your body actually does remember things. So yeah, I remember the Voodoo3 actually being an excellent retro gaming Blakestone. I'm liking this. Not bad. Of course, this can be increased dramatically. Let me see how is the game options change view. Of course, do it maxed. Controls. Whatever. Yep, new game. Oh, I thought I changed it around the view. Oh, perhaps it doesn't wanna. Oh, this is fast. This is ultra smooth. Oh, this is nice. So, DOS. I mean, I'm copying. I'm still copying, and I'm running these games. So this is actually quite cool. Hexen. Wasn't there a Windows 95 version of that? Or heretic, Hexen. Still copying the software, but also running an MS-DOS game. Quake already has been copied over. Dark Forces. This doesn't seem to be the complete Dark Forces. Need for Speed. I'm not sure if the probably still copying that. Interesting.